What's up, guys? I'm back. Guys? Oh, right. I don't have an audience yet because I'm an asshole with one video that has like 300 plus views and 9 comments. But still, thanks for the support, guys. I really appreciate it. And because someone actually commented on the last video, we are gonna do their suggestion, which is... If you haven't watched the previous video, let me explain this for the last time. Shake, Rattle, and Roll is a series of anthology films in the Philippines with each one telling 3 different horror stories that aren't that interwoven with one another like, let's say, Trick or Treat is, but from what I can tell, still takes place in the same world. So basically, if you're complaining why I started with the 8th installment in the series, it does not matter. So the first story, titled 13th Floor, is a horror comedy, and it starts off with an orphanage burning down. I feel like those two phrases shouldn't be put in the same sentence. As it's burning down, we see the caretakers trying to rescue the children that are still trapped in the building. Jean enlists the help of another caretaker, Ella, and tells her to go get the other children in the room. What, you couldn't be bothered to wake more children up? Is 2 kids per person the limit? Cause if so, these kids are doomed. Ella immediately explodes and Jean tries to escape with her favorites. But then... if the only thing you can see is fire, why the hell would you try to go down it? She tells them to save themselves and then the scene ends. We jump forward in time and we meet the characters that we're gonna be following for the rest of this story, and I just have to say, these cunts are unlikable as fuck. Seriously though, they talk and act as if they are constantly doing a comedy improv routine, and not a very good one. Anyway, these bundle of idiots are party organizers and are hired to, well, organize the party of a girl living in this building. More specifically, on the 14th floor. And no, there's no typo in my script. There's actually a stupid twist in the end. They take the elevator to the 14th floor and we just see how top tier the comedy in this story really is.
Tao ba?
Who the fuck laughs like that? They get in the elevator, but midway through a creepy hand stops it, then spooky shit starts happening. But not before we get another joke in.
Clay, tumahimik ka nga dyan. Ayaw mong makatikim yung...
Again, who the fuck laughs like that? They get to the apartment and meet the parents, Diana and Oscar. And we finally get the names of these people. Sunny, the head party organizer, Marge, the caterer, Gina and Allison, the assistants, who are also currently in a love quarrel that I don't really care enough to mention earlier, and June, the clown / magician. Diana goes to fetch her daughter Alex when she hears Alex talking to someone in her room. She questions Alex about it, but she hides it and Diana doesn't push the topic further. I respect that you respect your daughter's privacy, but if you heard your daughter, who is 11 years old by the way, talking to someone and hides that fact suspiciously, wouldn't you try to investigate it at least? After Creepy Hand Part 2 shuts the door, the organizers meet Alex and they split up to finally get to work setting up the party. June goes to the bathroom to put on his costume when he stops by Alex's room because he hears Alex having another conversation. Okay, hold the fucking phone. I get how the mother has the right to be suspicious, but what the hell is your excuse? You did not have enough of a reason to eavesdrop on some random conversation. Actually, let me rephrase that. You did not have enough of a reason to eavesdrop on a conversation of a little girl who is also your client. We then see Sunny talking with Oscar, and Oscar reveals that Alex is an only child and grew shy around other people because of it. Both him and Diana were actually surprised when Alex revealed that she actually has friends. This sentence is so much sadder knowing how the story plays out. We cut back to June in the bathroom where his reflection tries to kill him. Not much to describe here really. The ghost just pussies out every time he comes up. After some casual thievery by Gino, it's Sunny's turn to get spooked. Or at least I think that's what's happening, cause he makes these stupid fucking faces when he gets scared. Seriously though, I hate these people. Afterwards, it's Diana's turn to drop some exposition. She reveals that they own the entire building and that they have been living here for 3 months. She also says what we already assumed, that they had this building renovated on top of the burnt orphanage at the beginning. Might as well take the opportunity, am I right? After a few more antics from the ghosts, it's time to get this party started as the kids finally arrive.
Text ka ng text. Tumulong ka doon.
Eh bakit ba? Naka-unlimited ako, no?
I hate every character in this story. Oh, and these two made up, by the way. It was never revealed why. Have I mentioned that I hate these characters? The party truly gets started now when Alex blows the candles on her birthday cake. Wait, shouldn't the blowing of the candles be at the end of the party? June then starts doing magic.
Tingin lang. Nakikita nyo ba? Mukha namang nakikita nyo kasi nakatingin lang kayo.
Okay, that one actually made me laugh, but this scene drags on for too long, and I think the producers noticed that too, because they sped up this segment. Anyway, the punchline is that he actually rips the kid's head off when he lifts this box. That's it. He then tells it to the group. No one believes him, and the party goes on. Next in the party's agenda are party games. Well, one game where the kids try to break open a flower pot. I know that might sound weird, but it's really not. Pukpuk Palayok is our version of breaking open a piñata, and for us it isn't just candy. Most of the time there's coins and talcum powder inside the pot, so when that shit breaks, you better hope that a coin or a pot shard doesn't come flying for your face. The kids fail and try to break open the pot, so Gino takes over when... Okay, let's assume that these kids aren't ghosts, because at this point they are still oblivious about that fact. This is basically murder, or at the very least assault and battery. Between the eavesdropping, the stealing, and the murder, how the hell are these guys still getting hired? Anyway, Gino faints and the party starts to wind down as it's time to eat. The weird shit continues as this kid keeps going back for more bland spaghetti and bread. We see just how fast this kid eats as he kindly demonstrates. The group, now fully convinced, runs away as the lights in the apartment flicker on and off. However, they remember that they left Alex and return to fetch her. They get scared by the fact that they are surrounded by these creepy ass kids, but Sunny convinces them to close their eyes while they run away. As they get to the elevator, the 14th floor sign drops and we see that the real floor that they are in is the 13th floor. I told you it was a stupid twist. The true forms of these kids are also now revealed. The group and Alex's family split up, but then the dead kids manage to grab Alex. Alex, though, willingly goes with the kids, saying that there is something she must do. Gino and Allison get stuck in a Scooby-Doo skit, and Gino believes that this is a good time to propose with the ring he stole from the giveaway. And then they kiss. What the fuck are you acting so smug about? Do you really think that me and the audience are convinced that your lips made contact? Alex goes to her room and finds June and Sunny hiding there. She then screams at them that they need to remember something. Then they start remembering something. And we get more scenes about what happened that one fateful night. It turns out that Sunny was the cause of the fire, as he sets fire to a paper plane and launches it and then leaves it to burn. The fire spreads and the smoke knocks out the other kids. We then get the scene of Jean holding on for dear life, but with a bit more dialogue, as she tasks Sunny to take care of June. We go back to the present where the kids, including Jean, appear before them. I'm sorry, but if you guys died in a fire, I'm pretty sure your injuries would be worse than like a bad sunburn. Jean says that they can't move on to the afterlife because they needed to say that they have forgiven them, and that June and Sunny need to forgive themselves, even though that both June and Sunny completely forgot about them and they didn't even have an inkling of guilt or regret. Also, if you were trying to forgive them, what the hell was that scene with June? Actually, what the hell was this whole story for? You couldn't have done this from the beginning? Anyway, Jean reveals that they were able to have a connection because Alex was born on the 9th anniversary of the orphanage burning down. The ghosts finally get to move on to the afterlife, and 13th floor ends with Marge and Sunny getting together, and June gets it on with the maid. Yeah, no, I hate these characters till the end. The second story, I'm speedrunning because if I'm being honest, this one's pretty boring. This story starts off with terrible CGI leaves and that
Title card!
Yaya. Oh hey look, it's the van from the first story. No, those are not Kendrick Lamar lyrics. Yaya in English means nanny or maid. We hear this Yaya screaming because she saw a bunch of frogs on the floor. She then immediately quits, saying that she can't take it anymore. That being the pranks of Grace's son, Benjo, which includes demon mask on the mirror, classic, a fake severed hand, amazing, and casual attempted murder. Grace calls Benjo and we get a sense of their situation. Benjo's father is currently in abroad, and Grace and Benjo, despite what it looked like in the beginning, are actually pretty close. The next morning, Grace is interviewing the replacement nanny, Cecil, which was referred to her by her mother. Benjo is introduced to his new nanny and is immediately put off by the creepy smile that she gives, and the fact that the dog keeps barking at her. Cecil just winks at them sideways. Grace introduces Cecil to the rest of her victims, I mean to the rest of the family. Hermie, the other maid, and Julio, Grace's cousin and the family driver. Cecil continues acting creepily around the baby, and at night, we see her burning the card of what we assume to be the real Cecil. Benja takes a peek as Cecil fixes her hair when a face morphs on her back. The boy who lived. Come to die. That was fucking stupid. The next day, as Benji is preparing to go to school, now growing more and more suspicious of Cecil, tells his mother that they shouldn't leave Cecil with the baby. Cecil does some tongue exercise. The duo get there and they find nothing. Grace also relents with her son's request and has Cecil go with Benjo instead. Before they get to leave though, they get stopped by the guard at the gate and informs them that the subdivision will get a power outage on Sunday because they're going to be fixing stuff. Benjo gets to school when coincidentally Teacher Mel's lesson is on Filipino folklore. Now, I've been to a public elementary school in the Philippines and I have a pretty shit memory, but even I can tell you right now, we never talked about Filipino folklore concerning monsters. After class, Benjo goes to Teacher Mel to get a crash course on aswangs. Teacher Mel then spews out all the information that Benjo needs. Aswangs are a catch-all term for various monsters that can shapeshift. Some of them have long tongues and some of them have a taste for babies. The Tik-Tik especially has a taste for unborn fetuses. Teacher Mel also explains their weaknesses such as calamansi, garlic, onions, and salt. I'm pretty sure he just described the British palate. He also tells Benjo that one way to kill an aswang is to drive a stake made of bamboo through their heart and that they sometimes go to church. Religious shape-shifting monsters. Few ways to tell if you're near a vampire is when holy oil is boiling, you hear a tick-tick sound, or when you stare directly into their eyes but your reflection is upside down. Thank you for coming to his TED Talk. At night, Benja sees his dog running away from Cecil and the next morning, it's dead. His suspicions now pretty much confirmed, Benja starts preparing for his showdown. He buys some salt and garlic and makes arts and crafts out of them. At this point, I'm just gonna skim through a few scenes because again, it's pretty boring and the movie just basically keeps confirming that Cecil is a monster. Benjo gets this oil necklace that he got from a random girl and it boils when Cecil goes near it. Benjo sees her shapeshift and the next morning, the guard at the gate's dead. Benjo's grandmother calls and tells him that Cecil has a limp, this Cecil doesn't. And at one point, Cecil just squares up to Benjo and straight up threatens him with a meat cleaver. Got all that? Good. So at the night of the blackout, in an act of divine spite, I guess, as Benjo prays for the safety of everyone in the house, Hermie immediately dies. We also get to see the final monstrous form of Cecil, and it's this thing. Well, that's disappointing. You could shapeshift into anything and you decided on a Muppet reject. Cecil chases Benjo around in a Benny Hill type skit, but he manages to get away. Then he sees the dead body of Hermie and Julio. He calls her mother to get home quickly after being led away from the house by Cecil, when luckily she encounters Teacher Mel. Benjo continues running away from Cecil but eventually is cornered. Fortunately, Teacher Mel and Grace arrives just in time and Teacher Mel knocks her the fuck out! Who knew that a good right hook is one of the aswang's weaknesses? But of course, that's not enough to kill her, so Benjo grabs the garlic necklace he made earlier and puts it on Cecil. And like the Wicked Witch of the West, this finally kills her and the story ends with the same shitty CGI leaves from the beginning. And now we get to the reason why I wanted to cover this movie in the first place. The reason why I endured 13th floor and slogged through Yaya. My favorite story, not only in this instance of Shake, Rattle, and Roll, but in the entire Shake, Rattle, and Roll series. LRT. LRT, or Light Rail Transit, is the train system of the Philippines. Basically, our subway. This story begins with a huge mass of people leaving the train. Oh hey, it's Teacher Mel. As three dudes enter the train, we slowly get introduced to the cast that we'll be following in a surprisingly decent one-shot. The one-shot ends when the train experiences some turbulence. Wait, what? In a somewhat cliche scene, we learn that these two actually know each other, Jean and Cessa. Though their interaction is a bit awkward, but at this point, we don't know why. The only thing we know is that they last met in their college graduation. But Jean still introduces her son Jimmy to Cessa. At this point, I'm just gonna give them names as we go along because the movie is terrible at establishing character names. At first I thought maybe they just don't have any to emphasize the fact that they're strangers, but no. They only say the names of some of them at the point that they die, while a few of them we only learn at the credits. So for the sake of making my job easier, I'm just gonna give them names now. Rico, this dude, gets pissed off at the fact that he missed his stop. And at Lita, who's been preaching non-stop since the start of the story. Lita doesn't relent, however, and the train keeps going, frightening everyone including this couple, Rocky and Nina. Eventually, the train comes to a halt and Cesar tries opening the door to where the conductor is. Meanwhile, Lita keeps rapping Bible bars when Jenny notices that Jimmy is having an asthma attack. Luckily, there's Nurse Steph on board to help them out. Eventually, Cesar manages to get into the conductor's booth and with a few button presses, opens the door to the train letting them out. And now we get to one of the two reasons why this is my favorite Shake, Rattle, and Roll story of all time. This reason mostly has to deal with the setting. I love scenes in horror when the characters are in a place that is meant to be noisy and bustling with life, but are instead met with a deafening silence, and you are just left with the question, what is going on? That's also the reason why one of my favorite modern horror movies is A Quiet Place, and why one of my most favorite scenes in horror is the opening scene of 28 Days Later. Cillian Murphy just walking around in the city confused just gave me a feeling of isolation that was just so unsettling. The people inside the train split up and explored the station, and again I just love these wide shots that show just how empty the place really is. The group reconvenes in front of a gate but fail to open it. Martin walks around when he sees a cloaked dude from a distance. However, Anton scares him before he recognizes what he sees, and then the dude disappears. Dawn meets up with them and with Martin getting creeped out says that they should go back to the group. We see the group just sitting around waiting, where we also see Nurse Steph frantically looking around for her phone. Lita keeps on preaching and Rico keeps getting angry at Lita and at Oji, who tries to defend her. Before things escalate, Cesar tells them that they should look for a telephone, seeing as how none of them have any signal on their phones. They find said telephones, but oddly, all the lines are cut. When they try to look for another solution, something pulls Martin up aggressively. They run towards Martin, and in a nice bit of body horror, we see that he has a giant hole in his chest. They go back to the group and tells them that they need to book it. Everyone leaves except for Lita, who keeps praying, and Oji, who tries convincing her to leave. Oji tries telling her that she still needs to see her husband, but it turns out Lita's husband is already dead, so she has nothing left to lose. Failing to convince her, Oji leaves when the monster shows up and eats her heart out. Literally, not the idiom. It turns out Oji was watching from a distance and the monster hears him and he dies too. The rest of the group hops on a train, but seeing that pressing random buttons isn't gonna get that train to work, Cesar proposes that they go back to the rails and run from there. This splits the group up to those who want to run and those who want to hide in the train. Cesar manages to pry open the gate a little, but only Nina and Rocky get out. As Jean and her son run, the monster catches up to them and we see what this monster truly looks like. And what? A monster with actually good design and is made with practical effects? Give me more of that, please. But seriously though, this is the second reason why this is my favorite SRR story. Too many times do monsters in Filipino horror movies go with the CGI route that this is now rare. This motherfucker looks better than the monsters in Shake, Rattle, and Roll 15. And these two movies are 8 years apart, and that's why I love it. Even if this thing looks like the rejected love child of the Pale Man and the monster from that shitty M. Night Shyamalan movie The Village. So it turns out that the monster can see and can only rely on its other senses. Jean and Cesar manage to get away as the monster focuses its attention on the ones who stayed on the train. Anton gets bitten, but as the monster leaves, a phone rings, which brings the monster's attention back. Turns out it was Nurse Steph's phone that was stolen by Anton. Meanwhile, as the group is arguing, Rico tries shutting the door. He fails to close it and he dies. The monster gets in and the killings continue as Jenny dies. We cut back to Cesar and Jean still trying to find an exit, where they find even more phones with cables cut off. Don and Steph meets up with them and Don says that he last saw the monster going outside along the rails. Outside, we see Rocky and Nina trying to run away when they see another train car filled with the monster's previous victims. Okay, why did you have to enter the car? There's space around it. They stop and take a breath, but the monster sneaks up on them. It kills Rocky and Nina runs away. Back inside, Don finds the master key that he hopes would work on the doors to the outside. And Cesar finds that just outside the window is the fire escape. Before they escape, however, we learn that Jean and Cesar are exes, and that Cesar still has feelings for Jean to this day. Bro, seriously? Just fucking go. They hear the monster scream, and while Cesar and Jean take the fire exit, Don says fuck that and takes the hard route of going back to find what the key unlocks. Don and Steph try to hide, but of course the monster finds them and they die. The monster catches up to Jean and Cesar, and in a last heroic feat, Cesar squares up to this not so friendly neighborhood mutant. But alas, the monster has better aim because the monster stabs him in the heart while he only manages to nick its shoulder. This does give Jean time to run though when she finally finds help up in an oddly placed police checkpoint. The police take them in for questioning, where in the precinct they find Nina. And in one final twist, in a conversation between this commander and their police chief, it turns out that this entire operation is a conspiracy led by the local police. Because this monster is the mutant child of an unknown person that's been paying them large amounts of money for the last 3 years to keep the monster fed. The final scene shows the monster inside the precinct heading towards Jean, Nina, and Jimmy, where they are presumably killed, and a cleanup crew is tasked with tying up all the loose ends that the monster left behind. A twist that was actually set up nicely by sprinkling hints throughout the story and not just shoving it down your throat all in one go at the end. This is how you do a twist, 13th floor. Fuck you. And that's the end of Shake, Rattle, and Roll 8. Was it good? Was it bad? Tell me your thoughts down in the comment section below, and if you have another movie suggestion, also tell me down in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff, and I will see you around.